I wanted to know how the universe worked, what were the mechanics, what was my role in it. And early on, I'd say about 8 years old, I started entertaining questions for whatever reasons. Where did I come from? Why am I here? Who am I and where am I going? And though these questions were impatient and wanted an answer, little did I realize that these very simple but very profound questions became the absolute unfoldment of my life. So all of my life, I was destined to walk this path that could have been a little less painful if I'd have just paid a little more attention to some of the signs that were given me. And then in the teenage years, I wanted to become a Catholic priest. And that's somewhat funny if you know me. But I was serious about it that period of my life. And then I did the whole music thing for many, many years, put God in the closet. And then eventually I was humbled to where God had to come out the closet. And then my conscious spiritual path began to unfold. And it all started to exponentiate in a way as to where I'm now having this interview with you.
Tell me, Keith, what is something of great spiritual significance that actually happened to you?
Which one?
The most significant that you believe that was just so unbelievable yet so spiritual that touched you in a way that no other spiritual experience has.
Years ago, I was in a relationship, excuse me, that lasted for 10 years. And when it parted, it did a real serious number on me. Everything that I saw as my happiness was external. My girlfriend, she was my transportation, she was my shelter, she was my food, she was all those things because I'm an aspiring musician. And when that was removed from me, I had no place else to go but up because I was in the labyrinth, I was in the abyss. And I started speaking from my heart to God. That's when I opened the closet to get this reestablished in my life. And I started saying this prayer out loud, I need to hear your voice. And even though I said this prayer, let's say about 3 weeks, I absolutely believe it's not that I was trying to convince God that I'm serious about it. Come and visit me. It was in my first asking. I had so much passion because I was on my knees. And about 3 weeks later, after a night of playing music, which I do for a living, I was awakened out of my sleep the following morning by a voice and thrown into the divine light and began to have a dialogue with, I guess you can call it my higher self. Whatever deity you want to call it does not matter. But I was thrown into this full-blown light experience that asked me to begin to log my thoughts, my feelings, and my life experiences. And therefore, 8 years later, became the bestseller we know as The Divine Principle.
Can we all contact our higher spirits? Can we all contact our, for lack of a better word, our own God? Will God answer us if we ask him to talk to us?
Yeah, it's actually who we are. For a long time in the spiritual movement, the spiritual model was, excuse me, as if there was a higher self.
Yes.
There really isn't a higher self. It's the you that's in your body right now. But the only thing that what we're trying to strive for, or not strive, but I'd say relax or ease into, is just behind the mask of what we know as us. It's right there. And so, like, if I was to ask someone, can you hear my voice? And they say, well, yes, I can. And then the question becomes, well, who is this me that hears my voice? That being right there is the being that always was, is, and will forever be. And so we just have to get out of our own way. And so to answer the question, absolutely. It's part of who we are, our higher selves, our own God, if you will.
Do you think we're coming into a new age of spirituality, Keith?
Yeah, it's here. It's here. Not only is it arriving, I think it's starting to really settle itself. And that's why we're seeing so much of the pot, the political pot being stirred, all of it. I mean, the divine is becoming settled. It wants to settle. It is settling in us. And so because it's such a pure light, it's mirroring to us ourselves, and it will continue to pick up speed. So we better get moving.
Keith, with so many religious philosophies presently in the world, how can we expect all these different philosophies who are in a great marketing game to get as many people on board as they can to settle down in one spiritual growth.
Is that even possible? So maybe we should leave those toys alone and pick up some new toys.
But how do we do that? How do we do that and totally ignore the other factions that, if they can't get you by one way, terrorism's another?
I think we have to all look within. We have to begin to dive into ourselves and find that authenticity, that part of us that I mentioned just a minute ago, that is right behind the mask of what we know as us. And when we make contact with that, not only we get the kind of guidance that we need to dodge anything that could have been in our experience if we hadn't done that, but we tap into a power that begins to raise the consciousness of the entire world to a level where that stuff just doesn't exist anymore.
So we have to be more truthful with ourselves about who we are, what our intentions are. Basically, look at ourselves in the mirror and say, so what are we all about? Yeah, everything is energy, and everything that you want to bring about is intention. So even when you have an intention that you're not conscious of, that may not really bring to you in your life what you want, you are still equally as powerful as a God-conscious being as you are as an unconscious God being. There is no difference in the power of the energy that moves through you. It's just a matter of the filter that it passes through about what it's going to bring in your own experience as an individual, as well as all of us across the world as a collective. But what about the people who cannot understand that we are all part of one consciousness, all part of one being, all part of one? Sometimes I get guests on the show, and we do the show live at our location, and when they start talking about the oneness, spirituality, they get looks from the audience as if they've got 5 heads.
Well, I can simplify that.
Sure, please do.
Just follow the path that it's written about in every religion. It's love. Go inside and love yourself to a level. If everyone could agree that God is love, go inside of yourself and love yourself to the level that is God.
All you need is love.
That would be the journey. And you would do that for the same person. Find love in places that you swore you would not love. Make that your challenge. That is the path. It's not about religion. That is the path that all Sikhs, all sages, all monks, all yogis, all people who are aspired to divinity walk.
All right, Keith, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Keith Blanchard's our special guest, KeithAnthonyBlanchard.com. And he's the author of The Divine Principle. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with Keith Anthony Blanchard. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away. My name is Rob McConnell, and I would like to tell you about a very special lady that I have the pleasure of knowing, and that's Miss Sylvia Anthony. Sylvia Anthony believes the golden years are a time to gear up and get busy, not relax and take it easy. She has faced many hardships in her 84 years, but they have made her stronger and more determined. As founder and president of Sylvia's Haven, a shelter for women and their children near Boston, Sylvia has helped transform over 1,086 lives in the past 27 years, not only with housing, but also providing direction as to where they can go to develop the earning skills they want and need to live free from difficult domestic situations. Sylvia's Haven is everything to Sylvia Anthony, even calling it her magnificent obsession. Women who qualify for the program at Sylvia's Haven receive assistance via guidance counselors to find the appropriate job opportunity. Women and their children may remain at the housing for up to 2 years. At the end of this time, or sooner, a woman who is successfully employed and has an apartment or home may leave Sylvia's Haven to begin a new and independent life. Now this is where you come in to help make Sylvia's dream into a reality. Sylvia's dream is to have a Sylvia's Haven in every state to help as many women and their children as she can, and to help this dream come true. A crowdfunding site has been established which can be accessed at www.sylviasdream.org. Now that's www.sylviasdream.org. With your financial help and support, Sylvia Anthony will continue to help those in their time of need, not only in the Boston area, but with her dream of having a Sylvia's Haven in every state of the United States. Your help is needed to make Sylvia's dream come true. Please visit and give at www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. And remember, the only difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. We need your help to make Sylvia's dream come true. Visit www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. For the X Zone Radio TV show and the X Chronicles newspaper, I am Rob McConnell. You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, and Star Cable. Our toll-free telephone number worldwide is 1-800-610-7035. Our email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com.
There is no political solution.
Exonation, Keith Anthony Blanchard's my special guest. His website is www.keithanthonyblanchard.com, and he's the author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. And great having you back with us, Keith, after all these years. Can we talk a little bit about your interaction with aliens?
Yeah, that's the fun stuff. Sure, love to.
So tell us, when did it start? Who do you communicate with? Is it more or less of a mental telepathic union that you have, or do you actually see these guys?
It started when I was a child, when I was about 8. Mm-hmm. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning. No 8-year-old kid that I know wants to be in a 250-foot pitch black backyard at that time of night. But I would find myself come into a state of conscious awareness. And I would find myself in the backyard propping up a cinder block so I can be tall enough to hoist myself through my bedroom window. And I would do this quite often, 6 times a month maybe. And then I don't recall anything until I was about the age of 33. And then I was watching a program on the Discovery Channel, and then everything came back as a full and total recall. The beings, where, from, why. I made an agreement with these beings before I was born to exchange information. They would kind of like poke at me in my files to see what's happening, use it for their benefit. It was a mutual agreement for growth. Excuse me, I've been sick. But in about 1998, this was no longer, and mind you, I was never abducted, so to speak, or taken beyond my will. This was always, when I'd come to a state of awareness, it was like, hey guys, how have you been, kind of thing. And then we would proceed. But in 1998, I was teaching a class here in Memphis, Tennessee at the Connection Center. And before the class, a friend of mine by the name of Laura comes up to me and says, Keith, Laura, keep in mind, has always been a very funny person. And so she says, Keith, do you want to meet an alien being? And she was being funny, and we chuckled. She said, no, Keith, I'm absolutely serious. And I can tell by knowing her so well that something was up. And so I proceeded to follow her. I didn't know what to expect.